Jenkins. Thank you all so much for me. I'm from Louisiana. I grew up in Oxford, Mississippi, and went to college in Memphis, at Memphis College of Art. I met my husband. He was from Slidell, and I met him right at the end of college, and he said, "Sarah, come to New Orleans with me and sell paintings on the street." And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So he took me, and we went to Jackson Square, where he had a license, and we set up, and it was New Year's, and it was crazy and awesome. And I said, okay. So we moved to New Orleans right after college. Started selling art immediately, and we've been doing it ever since. And that was, I guess, about 15 years now. Of course, Jackson Square is a place where you really learn differently about art. In college, I learned a lot about concept. That's nothing to do with Jackson Square. Jackson Square is more like, what can you paint? What do people like? What are people interacting with? What are they attracted to? What do they want? And so it was really hard for a long time to intermix these things together. Because it's not about it wasn't about like, what do I want? It's what they want. But does that fulfill my art side? There's a lot of like push and pull when it comes to Jackson Square. So then I started to expand and do art festivals around the coast, mainly from like Pensacola to Atlanta to Memphis, Houston, the South. I learned a lot about what people like at art festivals. That's even more difficult. And then I also do some of these gallery shows, which I'm so lucky to be here again. This is my second time showing here. Same spot. The last time I had a show, actually, we had a show with Jared. He was across the hall. Awesome show. And now I'm lucky to be back again. This particular show, though, I wrote a little speech because I didn't want to leave anything out. So I'm just going to read it real quick because I go blank. All right, so this particular show is about when you hear people have moments with animals that appear, and there's just something inside you that you knew it meant something, and you couldn't really explain it, but it felt like more than just chance. It's like you feel like there's like old souls in these animals and trees. So I started thinking about that. I started looking into different cultures and times where people believed animals can be messengers, or even the spirits of those we've lost and loved. In Native American traditions, their spirit guides offer them protection or direction. In Buddhism, there's a belief that souls can turn into animals depending on their karma. Celtic and Norse traditions saw animals as omens, the bridges that connect our world to the spirit world. I love all these ideas, all of it. I've heard stories from people really close to me, stories of red cardinals, woodpeckers, and butterflies that seem to show up in moments of grief or reflection. These connections inspire this series. Each piece shaped by the idea that animals might carry echoes of people we still hold close. But there's another layer that came to me recently. Well, I go kayaking a lot in the swamps, and it's kind of crazy because people are terrified, but it's beautiful. This picture of me is in one of them. It's like you're out in the middle of no one is anywhere near you. It's lots of animal life. It's awesome. So when I'm out in the kayaking amongst these trees in Louisiana, I paddle beneath these cypress roots that are sunk deep in the earth and the water. Their limbs are bent and weathered from storms, and I feel something. The stillness, memories, and presence. Those trees felt like old souls, like they had seen it all, yet remained rooted and graceful. And I thought, maybe that's what an old soul really is. Something that's lived many lives, felt deeply, and still chooses to stand. Maybe the animals we see and the trees we pass are more than they seem. Maybe they're holding space for us and reminding us that we're not alone. That's what this work is about, seeing the spirit in the everyday, honoring the wisdom and what's alive around us, and finding traces of the souls you've loved in feathers, fur, bark, or just in silence. And that is what this is about. times to paint a ugly painting. It's really hard. Even if I'm mad, I'm like, well, shit, it's pretty. And so I'm just gonna stick with it. And a lot of my stuff is very whimsical, and I don't really want them to feel correct, because it's more about a memory or a dream. So all the time my perspectives are off. I'm painting from like memories, not necessarily a picture at all. Some of the animals I paint from picture, of course, but not their atmosphere. Which my environments is really where this all started. I really didn't do a lot with animals for a long time, but it was definitely the next step of growing in my art. Yeah. Most of all of these are from stories that people have told me, or at art shows. On Jackson Square. It's amazing who will come up to you as a stranger and be brutally honest and tell you all kinds of stuff. And I get to take that and like regurgitate it into new stuff. And so most of these are all stories from people I've encountered, which is the best part of being an artist. I mean, okay, now I'm going to talk about a little bit about I use a lot of texture in my art. I brought this one because there's absolutely nothing on it yet, and my favorite part is the very first steps, which is letting paint do what it wants to do, and then I work from it. So the entire background are these inks, which are probably my favorite thing to work with. I play a lot with ink, water, letting it sit for a long time. I take these inks also on coffee filters, and I do lots of different dyeing, this is what we call it. And I use this a lot. All of these paintings have it. Like, even if it's like torn up little pieces here, sometimes I use these circles as it feels like an aura around an animal. Maybe so the cardinal. I don't have any in this particular show. But I love this circle. There's something about that circle that sticks out to me. Okay, so I did a bunch of ink, and then I started to play with acrylic spray paint recently. And so I started playing around with what I could, have down to pull up, and this was one of them. It's like a cool, they call it floral paper that people use in like bouquets, which I love. I also use a lot of eggshells, which is kind of weird, but I really like that natural texture. I love mosaic, but I don't like glass and shiny. And so I was trying one day thinking like, what can I use that's got that same type of texture? And we have chickens, and so I just started using eggshells. Turns out pretty great. They're pretty much in all of them. I use them for water. A lot of these paintings that have these like bands, that to me is the sun. So I feel like that's like what's keeping us stable. The sun or moon. It's all circle. It's all rotating around it. I use a lot of I use acrylic. I wish I used oil. Terrible at cleaning my brushes. So I stick to the acrylic. And I use a lot of this medium that you mix in that makes the paint real thick. Sometimes. I don't like shiny again. And sometimes that turns out good. But the main thing I really enjoy is just that last layer of crisping it all up with ink again. I love the ink. And I recently started doing some of these animals on paper. So like the owl in this painting is actually on paper, and I cut it out and I attached it because the tooth of the paper is just completely different than the canvas, and you just can't get the same effects. So a lot of these are actually paper on canvas. I can't remember which one sometimes, but yeah. Does anyone have any questions about my progress? I'm only like this nervous. Oh, I'll explain these really, there's two here. They're a collaborative piece between my husband. So I did the painting, and he has this deconstruction series he's been doing for years, where the idea is he takes the original things a painting is made of, which is oil, canvas, and wood, and he deconstructs it down, breaks it apart, and then he brings it back together. Well, his work's completely different than mine. Completely. We've never made art together. It's been 15 years, we just don't. Until recently when I took a painting off of the canvas and I was like, I don't want this. I didn't want it. I was over it. He took it, he put it on one of his friends, he brought it in, I was like, what did you do? And it's just becoming a whole thing because it's not anything I would have made, it's nothing he would have made. It's completely collaboration. And so I did bring 2 of those to show like the evolving of this series with my husband. Super, super unique pieces.
That's what's it.
Yeah.
Sensational.
Yeah, that's good.